Welcome to the Warren Cycling Podcast. My name is Dean Warren. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, at the airport.
Yeah, terminal, whatever, right?
Yeah, the B concourse. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Randy Warren, and I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, which is it's chilly here. Is it chilly in Atlanta?
Yeah. It's chilly in Atlanta. I flew up to New York and back yesterday, and it was warmer in New York City than it was in Atlanta. So I thought that's crazy. But
That happens though, because you get that Atlantic coastal, warm
sure,
air masses. Yeah. And so
right. But yeah, I've been on the go since before the new year. I have the one picture behind me of the one bike ride I did get in yesterday with a beach cruiser bike that the hotel offers to the people staying there to ride. So I got a beach cruiser bike that the seat was too low, but it felt good to be on a bike at least for a little bit. And yeah, let's talk about what's going on in the new year. Happy New Year, Randy.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. I know it's only the fourth, right? The fifth, fourth.
4th
But
of January.
yeah, I heard someone the other day say that they forgot it was the New Year, and I thought, well, that's crazy. How can you forget it's the New Year? But then I kind of lose track of where we are in the New Year already. 4 days in. Today was Maddie's first day back at school, so now it'll seem a little more normal, I think, in terms of having a school routine. But I leave tomorrow for the Endurance Exchange Conference, which is something that the U.S. Triathlon Association, USAT, U.S. Association, United States of America Triathlon Organization puts on, and normally the USAC, USA Cycling, puts on some kind of coaching conference as well every other year. But this year, they're joining with the Endurance Exchange, and this is how coaches stay up on what's going on and get their continuing education units and stuff too. So that'll throw my schedule off again. That's only in Charlotte, so it's usually held.
That's what I was going to ask. Where is it going to take place? Okay, not too far for you.
Yeah, and USAT and USA Cycling are both located on pretty much the same campus there in Colorado Springs, not on the Olympic Training campus like they both used to be. But and again, this is the first time that they were doing this with USAT, so I'm not sure how they normally do it, but they're having it at University of North Carolina, Charlotte, or something like that, the campus of a university. But on Sunday, it's supposed to be maybe upper 50s, maybe 59 degrees during the conference on Sunday. So that, for me, normally we'll have 60-degree days here every once in a while in the winter, but so far, last week or so, it's been chilly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for that,
yeah. So I saw you bundled up the other day where you're riding.
New Year's Day was a windy, like 30, it was above freezing, barely 33 degrees, I think, but it was 15-mile-an-hour winds. So we went inland against, the wind. So we were inland off the river, but inland, off the river. So that it was not quite as windy as we rode through the hills and stuff and then came back along the river. So it wasn't too bad, especially the person I was riding with, Vlad's lived in Boston for a lot of years. And so he's used to that weather in the winter, and then and they have it much worse than we do. So it's not so bad.
Right. Well, I was in the Caribbean, and it was, I think, in the low 80s. It was hot. It was warm every day, sunny. And then we were on one island, and they had just e-bikes to rent. I was trying to find a normal bike, but they're only renting I said, I don't want an e-bike. So
you could just turn off the electric assist, right? And then it'd be harder.
Yeah, but then they wanted also like €35 per hour or something. So some ridiculous high amount. So yeah. So the only exercise I got in a run on St. Bart's, and there's some pretty steep hills. I was barely going to keep running. It's hard when you're running up so steep that you can barely move, but I guess that's when you're cycling, you're going to fall over if you can't keep pedaling, right, on a really steep
hill. But and people do some
running. Yeah, running when you get really steep, you almost feel like you're not running anymore. you're like taking
just
the motion
your legs up.
Yeah.
To move yourself forward, Yeah, I rolled both my ankles like 2 weeks ago in a trail run, and I thought my left ankle was much worse than my right. It's healed up completely, but the right ankle, it still hurts. So I've not run for almost a week now, trying to let that heal up.
Right. Well, you're still doing weight training this time of year? Weight training.
Yeah, I just started doing box jumps too. So I was doing step ups is one of the exercises, and now I do box jumps, 24-inch box jumps. And yesterday was my first session of doing those box jumps, and so
it helps with bad ankle.
Yeah, it didn't hurt during that. So I think it's the heel. When I land on the heel that it hurts. but the box jumps are landing on your toes, so it's not so bad. And jumping off your toes, but that helps with your explosiveness. So a guy like me that has no fast twitch muscles, this helps a lot because I'm used to doing the step ups, which can, I mean, your slow twitch muscle fiber is fine for that, but the explosiveness of a box jump really requires you to maximize use of your fast twitch, what little bit I have. And so I do that for the next 4 weeks. And otherwise I'll go back to doing the step ups for the last, then that maintenance after that. But yeah, no, this is my 3rd month of weightlifting. So hopefully people, if they are lifting weights, it's, you would want to be well in your lifting program at this point. You don't want to start now because you need to have at least 8 weeks, hopefully 12 weeks of lifting for it to really have maximum effect. And if you start now, then you're into March, depending upon where you are. But by then, hopefully you're spending more time on the bike, so less on the weight room. But it's still important to lift something. If you can do maintenance the rest of the year around, that's good. But that's like once a week, or switching more to core work, that kind of thing, multiple times a week.
Yeah, I've just been lifting suitcases pretty much. I did go on an elliptical. I don't know. After that run, my legs were pretty sore going the hill, so the elliptical felt better without, kind of range of motion of running without the pounding. Is that what that does? I'm not much for a gym person, but I was forced into a gym workout the other day, and it was the first of New Year. So, yeah. Well, let's dig into some of the news. The cyclocross racing, it was thick and heavy over, of course, the Christmas period where they have lots of cyclocross racing in Belgium. Looked like they're, mud fest too, which is also great for the spectators to see the riders all covered in mud.
And the sand race yesterday, I guess, right? So
it could be, yeah. I'm a little behind. I've been seeing that Mathieu van der Poel has been really a step ahead of everyone else. He's been pretty dominant.
9.
Yeah. Wout van Aert tried to keep up with him for a couple laps, but couldn't the other day. But I think the biggest news might be that 18-year-old was Eva Holmgren.
Okay, from Canada.
Twin sister, has a sister Isabella. I think they were both top 10 in that race, but a podium, and this has been nice.
They were 1-2, I think, at Junior Worlds last year. So she was second, though. Eva was second in Junior Worlds, and so she was 3rd place World Cup, Senior World Cup as an 18-year-old. Racing for Little Trek. I think she raced for Little Trek too. So
yes, Little Trek. Right.
First race in Little Trek, and then Clara Hunziker was 4th. She was 5th. She was 4th.
She was 5th. Oh, there.
She was in 3rd place for a long time too. So she had her best race of the year.
Yeah.
And then besides that too, Junior World National Cyclocross Champion for U.S. Vida Lopez.
Yeah.
She won the whole World Cup, I'm guessing in the junior ranks.
The junior ranks, right? Yeah, promising young North American female cyclocross racers. So, yeah, that's exciting. Otherwise,
Tom Peacock right now is sick, so he's going to miss the chance to race this weekend. And I think Wout's only going to race 2 more races, or maybe only 1 now, but 1 or 2 more races, and then he's done. And I don't know if Peacock is doing the Worlds or not, but
Mathieu, I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure he's not.
Definitely planning to do it. And right now, Mathieu, when he rides, no one else is even close. I think Wout was 2 minutes down on one of the races, and so he was surprised. But he keeps saying he's fine. And then I read an article about how
his big goals are the Spring Classics, eluding him so far to get a big win at the Flanders or Roubaix. So I think he's really going to focus on that this spring.
Yeah, and also, it's funny because Mathieu says he's focusing on the same thing, but just going about it differently. But last year, apparently, the Jumbo did
when you say Mathieu, I'm thinking of Jorgensen because Mathieu van der Poel, yeah, because Mathieu we just saw his program came up in a Velo article, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually look at that.
I saw it, yeah.
But so
Van der Poel,
he back to the Wout though for a minute. Well, after his campaign last year in the spring, they sat down with his coach at the time, who went to Hansgrohe with Roglic, so he's not there.
Okay.
And decided to do what they're going to do right now in terms of like de-emphasizing cross a lot, and really, because he felt like he lost a little bit for those biggest classic races because having a little bit too fit right now in the cross season. And so they have a new coach right now for Jumbo that's working with Bob Menard.
Visma Lisa bike. You're gonna have to cut Jumbo out of that reference to the.
Is it anyway? So Jumbo Lisa bike, right? No,
Visma.
Visma Lisa bike. Okay,
Yeah, Jumbo's out. I have to find a new grocery store. I guess it's Lidl now.
Yeah, Lidl, right? So Visma Lisa bike, they have a new coach now because like I said, the coach went with Roglic to Bora Hansgrohe, and so people are saying, hey, the new coach has messed Wout van Aert up. He's not winning because he's had this program, but they're saying no. This has always been the plan for the last 9 months. This is what we're doing with this too. And so so it's and anytime you're used to winning a lot of these races, or at least being neck and neck,
Yeah, like look at the Worlds last year. There wasn't hardly anything separating those two.
Just
Yeah,
a second to the finish line. Yeah. So so there's that's a lot of the talk for sure in that. And then also too, it's funny because Pidcock bumped Isabert the other day in the finish. Did you see that? There's a video of him coming around him and hit him. And actually too, Mathieu van der Poel bumped the Costa Rican racer. He was a 41-year-old Costa Rican racer.
Didn't he like push him out of the way?
Yeah, he pushed him. He shouldered him, and I watched. It sounded much worse than it was. I watched the video, and it was no big deal. To be honest, it was. I mean, if you race cyclocross, that's almost a non-incident. There's so much stuff that happens in a cross. It didn't throw anybody off the line. And Mathieu van der Poel said that he wasn't gonna bump him even. But then the other guy, the Costa Rican, was shouldering his bike and just bringing it down, and he felt like the wheel was getting close to him, and so he didn't want to have the wheel take him out, and so that's why he needed him a little bit. And then the Costa Rican said he was gonna leave the World Cup and not gonna do World Championships because he felt so bad about blocking him. But Van der Poel's like, no, it's fine, don't worry about it. I like your story. I know, because I don't know actually his whole story, but I'm guessing it's he's 41 years old, racing Costa Rica. He probably gets a developing nation status exemption, so he doesn't have maybe as many points as he needs to be in the World Cup. But since he is in that special status, they allow him to race there because they're trying to get more cross racers from that part of the world. Anyway,
was he just lapped once, or was it a multiple lap?
Well, this was only on lap 2 or 3 when he got passed, so it was pretty close. Yeah, because I mean, when I was at Worlds 2 years ago in Fayetteville, he was racing there, I think, and I remember seeing him and a couple other people from developing nations, and they were getting lapped multiple times. But they're huge crowd favorites because I think everybody appreciates, it's kind of like every man who gets a chance to race at the biggest world races in the world. So, like you or I couldn't say we wanted to do that as Americans, but if we were from the right country, perhaps we get a chance to go.
We've seen that before, yeah.
So that was big news for sure too. But Isabert, he got bumped in by Pidcock, and that one though, that was more aggressive because when Mathieu van der Poel went by the Costa Rican guy, it was so quick, and again, it was a minor bump. If I was in a cross race and somebody did that to me, I'd be like, whatever, no big deal. I wouldn't even think about it. But Isabert and Pidcock, man, that was an aggressive move by Pidcock. And if I was Isabert, I'd be like, hey, that's pretty.
They're both kind of small guys too.
Yes, it was aggressive. So I guess I wouldn't take exception that it was dirty or anything, but it was definitely an aggressive move and dramatic. Yeah. So
that's good for the entertainment factor of the racing and TV. Yeah. Pidcock is just going to be maybe pretty high up on the Ineos Grenadiers roster for the Tour this year, isn't he?
Everybody else is leaving, right?
Yeah. Well, I think since we last talked last year, maybe the news, I think it came probably quite soon after we talked about. I'm like totally jumping the road now, but was Teddy Pogacar going to go for the Giro?
Oh, yeah, right. That's been a while, I guess.
Giro Tour double, and then I was just reading about how he wants to win. Well, he always wants to win everything, but last year he won his first race and his last race, so just trying to figure out how to win as much as he can. He's starting a little later this year. He's going to do Volta Catalunya instead of He's going to try. He wants to do every race, I think, eventually. He's not going to do his Flanders defense, but he's not going to do Paris-Nice or Tirreno Adriatico, which he's done the last 2 years. He's doing Volta Catalunya, which comes later in March. I think he's got to start out with Milan San Remo. Well, he actually started Bianchi, then Milan San Remo. So he's going to beat Italy.
That's one way that you take the pressure off. If you don't do some races, then you don't have to worry about trying to do well in them necessarily.
Right.
Did you see that Wout van Aert is not doing Milan San Remo or Strade Bianche?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he'll be, I think, at an altitude camp then for those races or something like that. So that's a little bit, and they said it wasn't so hard to miss Milan San Remo, but it was really hard to miss Strade Bianche. So that's one of his.
Yeah, sure.
But again, he's focused on those other goals. So
It's interesting though because altitude camp is a big part of a lot of riders' programs now. Mathieu Pogacar, I don't think he's going to do altitude until after the Giro. But Mads Pedersen, yeah,
Pedersen, right?
that's how he hates altitude camp. Sure,
it's boring. What I do, sit 3 weeks on a mountain, you know.
yeah.
And I can see it would be boring, and he likes to be with his family. And the type of racer he is, the altitude camp certainly helps some, maybe some, but really, you know, I mean, having that little bit extra hemoglobin and getting the best shoes on those long lines, you know, the ones you really need that a little bit, you know, it's something like that, you know. And so Mads Pedersen, that's not the kind of racer he is. And so I think that it's okay for him to not go to those altitude camps. He probably still gets, you know, I mean, his training is tremendous. He said he's focusing more on nutrition this year too. And yeah, I think he can get away with it for sure.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting. So going back though to Matteo Jorgensen, his program looks really like a nice program as far as getting to do a lot of big races. We kind of thought, well, he's not going to get as many chances maybe to be leader with the Visma Lisa bike as he did at Movistar. But if he's going for like the long game, like in a few years to like take over perhaps to be the guy in some of these big races, he needs a little more development, and some of the riders will be a little bit older by the time he starts to peak, as he's only 25 now, and so he's going to get 24, and I'm 25. Yeah, 20. He's going to get to do like a great calendar, starting out very early, doing all the classics, Northern Classics. So he's not going to be getting that nice warm weather in Doha or in Qatar, where he won last year. But
Malaysian races, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But that's the thing too, is that when he was with Movistar and he raced those Belgian Classics and was doing decently well in them, that was very unusual because Movistar generally does not have anybody, that does that well in those kind of races too. So he was the outlier already with that, and now he gets to parlay that into even more experience. So yeah, so Umlauf van Nieuwsblad, Kuren Brussels Kurm, Paris-Nice, E3 Saxo Classic, Dwars van Vlaanderen, Tour of Flanders, and Paris-Bay. Yeah.
Right. So those races, I mean, he's going to be full in supporting Wout van Aert, but I guess Wout's not going to do Dwars Vlaanderen race, that race, midweek race. But I think even the other races, if he's really great form, he's a guy that can go maybe up the road and cause others to have to chase and give the cushion or the advantage to like Van Aert not to have to be responding because the others will have to chase Jorgen, and then maybe he gets that opportunity where they don't chase. And
Christophe Laporte, too, last year when it was just and Christophe and they were together and gave him the win again them again, right? So
so it should be pretty good opportunities for him, but he's excited, I think, more to have the attention of detail that Visma Lisa bike has in their program, whereas he won't have to go hire his own coach and do things on his own, but the team will be providing him every small detail that can help him be the best rider he can be.
And it's different for different people too. Some people want to have that kind of control over your program, and so you don't have to worry about those kinds of things. And other people want more freedom to do more things too. And so for the type of rider it seems like that he's looking forward to this, and certainly that's worked. So we look at Sepp too, and Sepp has stepped out of the program a little bit in terms of the way he trains, a little bit more of that longer miles, a little bit less focused, specific interval type stuff. And they allow for that apparently too when you win a Grand Tour, even before he won the Grand Tour.
But Nielsen Paulus was in the program and it didn't work for him.
Yes, yeah,
so
exactly.
He left, yeah.
And I think that again, it's the kind of it depends on the kind of personality more so than even the kind of rider you are, but the more personality and the way that you have to, view the sport in terms of, having everything controlled can be suffocating for some people. And for other people, it's liberating because they feel like, well, I don't have to worry about this now. It's someone else taking care of it. Where other people are like, I want to take care of some things, and so the people on the team, I think, are there for a reason, and they like that program, and so it works well.
Sure. I don't think we mentioned the why. I got a little bit of a cough. I'm not coming in my 100% into the season this year. I thought I was, getting better, feeling good on the cruise I had, and then I got back around to other people, I guess, on the airplanes and airports, and I wasn't not totally over this. So yeah, but
Carrie's sick, and I've had a little bit of a cough, but I'm going to the Endurance Exchange conference too, so I'm probably going to wear a mask the whole time there. But yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah. So behind you though is the Australian national flag. We didn't mention what's going on there because, well, the Santos Tour Down Under is coming up, the first World Tour race of the year, and
on the 16th, I think, right?
Julian Alaphilippe will be there, and
yeah, so it wasn't a World Tour race for a couple of years because of the pandemic, but now it's not a 1 point, but it's a 2 point World Tour, so it's not the biggest, but it's still big. And so yeah, everybody, I mean, not everybody, but most the teams are going to be there. So yeah, so there'll be a bigger race for sure, but that's not who dominated the time trial yesterday.
Right. So that's what right now is the national championships going on because it's middle of summer. Like it would be this in the summertime in Europe when the national championships are held. So Australia and the Southern Hemisphere countries hold theirs at a different time, of course.
Yeah, and Jake Lulu, just they're pretty much they have everything right now. But of course, there's not that many teams also want to have they're not going to send people there. It's still a week and a half before the Tour Down Under. So if you have an Australian on your team, they might be down there. But it was dominated by Jake Lulu. So they had all top 4 spots, and Luke Plop, who was on Ineos and transferred over to Jaco. Yeah, he got the win, and he had to do a bike exchange. And last year he finished 4th.
That was the old sponsor, Bike Exchange. Sorry.
But he had a bike exchange last year and this year, both in the same spot. He said, and last year he didn't respond well to it. He went way too hard after the exchange, blew himself up, and finished 4th. This year, apparently his backup bike didn't have a power meter on it, and he was doing some training without a power meter. And so when he switched bikes, he just got into that mode of what he'd been training without the power meter and was able to really calm himself down, and was able to pull out the win by 32 seconds, I think it was. So it was quite a big race.
So see how adversity helps later in future. I mean, if you learn from what happened, the bad things, and you can turn it around and help you in the future, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. If you allow that to happen, yeah, you have to make sure that you do allow that for having too. So, but then on the women's side, Grace Brown won. So she's from FDJ Suez. So she was not Jaco Lulu. And then second was Brody Chapman, who rides for Little Trek. And then Georgia Howe, Lulu, finally. So their team got 1 spot in the Thursday.
No SD Works riders down there, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me see. The ones to there, and they're talking about how SE is ready to dominate again. But yeah, no, they only have let's see, 13 riders that did the whole thing. No SD Works. So, and they actually, this is Live a Lulu, Jaco, and then there's also the AG Insurance Sudal team, which is a thing that Sudal's that the Vlados, has that been changed? That women's side? You make sure you did too. And then the only other team they have listed too is a Hess cycling team. So, it's different. It's a different too because I mean, it'd be like America a little bit. I mean, we're more diverse now than it used to be, but it used to be, there's such a limited number of teams. Now we have more for sure. But yeah, there were the top 4 was Team Jaco Lulu, and then eyes are still a little dilated for me this morning, but Alistair Christie Johnson. Alistair, oh yeah, he's a young guy. I think he raced really well last year at the national championships. But he's on team CCACHE Kashi times par coupe. I don't know, but he was fifth, and then a Peel district team, and then a Tudor Pro team. So again, a pretty small field. I think they had 14 or so, 17 races.
Right. Well, I think the big news on the women's racing side is that Chloe Dygert is going to race starting out with her Canyon SRAM team at the Tour Down Under. So she's got big goals this year, but it'll be nice to see how she starts out, and hopefully she'll have no health issues this year and or be back close to her pre-World's time trial crash self, where she was super dominant then and getting close, but I mean, winning the World Time Trial Championship is pretty big, and she's got some more Olympic goals this year, of course, on the track and the road.
Yeah, and actually, I think too. So last year, I heard some kind of inside information with Chloe Dygert, and that she wasn't really viewed as being part of their team because she would just come and do some races, and the team didn't really feel like that she was integrated into them. So when she would come over and do the races, they kind of be like, sure, she's really good, but she didn't feel like a real teammate to them. So that's just what I heard. True or not, I'm not sure. I'm hearing secondhand information. But I think, though, now by her starting the season right away, Tour Down Under, she's traveling with the team. Hopefully, I'm guessing that that's partly an effort to make sure she feels like she's more part of the team and that she's, really wants to be in that environment where she's in that experience, not just racing herself, but helping.
Well, I think for most racers, when they look back on their careers, they look sometimes not to the results or the races as much as the camaraderie and the experiences they had by having a strong team and being in the team atmosphere and making those bonds from racing with the other guys or the other gals in the sport. So yeah.
For women too, in general, now I'm just speaking from not your world tour level, but certainly on the collegiate level and certainly in the just regular USAC level too, a lot of women do the sport more for social aspects. So they want to be racing, want to be competitive, and they want to do their best, but the social component is a much bigger part of it than it is sometimes for men too. So I think you're right, though. People get a lot out of the element of being on a team. Even if you're an introvert, you are with the people so much that oftentimes can be, a quieter relationship or whatever you can have as an introvert too. But it's just really important too. So you may not be a person that gets out there and is with all the press and with all the fans as much, but you retreat into your comfort space, and that is with your team, even if you're an introvert. So yeah, it's I think it's important. So, and she's so young still. I don't know how she is, but she's
a little past mid-20s, I guess.
Okay, I should look it up. I was thinking 24, but
No,
yeah.
I think she's a little bit. I'd looked up too, but I'm pretty limited on my media here. I've got my phone in my lap, sitting in the gatehouse. I've got my flight coming up in an hour, so we're not gonna go too long here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to start out the year with getting back in the swing of things and catch up what's going on.
Watch the Tour Down Under though, because I still have not done anything with my viewing. Have you done anything with your TV viewing? So I know some people, and apparently it's evolving too right now because they were just, I think Discovery was finding out that it was complicated. I've heard some people saying they had to be subscribing to 4 different services to be able to see the races that they used to be able to see, and even then, not even the full GCN schedule. And it was costing them like 4 times as much money, and so it just wasn't working out. So Discovery, I think, folded 2 of its services together because they own, I think, Eurosport or have a partnership with Eurosport, something like that too. They probably have more control over it than they're putting out to the public face, in terms of what you could have. But anyway, my plan still is to subscribe to Eurosport. Because that seems like that's going to be the most coverage of one single source. I don't know if I should do it. Maybe I should do it now so that I have it in time for the Tour Down Under. And their schedule is weird, right? So.
Oh man, because there's 15 hours ahead of us. Yeah.
Right. So I think at our night time, if you stay up late here, the race is over there. for the next day, something like that.
Yeah. Excuse me there. I was just thinking. I forgot already.
You're right, though, in terms of the schedule too. Well, the road race schedule, Jake Olulu was thinking they could win again, because not only do they have Luke Plop, who won, but Chris Harper, who's a good sprinter, is there too. But also Caleb Ewing, so he's going to be back with an Australian team, Jake Olulu, and so he did not do the time trial. I'm sure he'll do the crit, which is Friday, and the weekend is the road races. But they're all going to be there. That's going to be the team you'd think, right, to dominate. But you're right. Julian Alaphilippe's going to be there. Who else big is going to be there too? So all the big teams are there, right? And a lot of them are sending people that normally would, maybe be the stars of their team. UAE, for example. Maybe Ulysses might be their biggest name on the team. There.
Did you see?
Is racing for Bahrain. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see though, Teddy Pogacar? They listed who would be supporting him at the Giro and the Tour. I didn't see Brandon McNulty on either one of those lists, so I don't know what they have in store for Brandon. I mean, it doesn't mean he won't, but it doesn't look like they're already putting him in. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of schedule he has this year. I mean, he got a stage win in the Giro last year, so.
Yeah, but did he have a contract for this year?
Yeah.
Who was it that didn't have a contract this year? It was
Joe Dombrowski.
Oh, Dombrowski. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But he won a stage in the Giro, not last year.
Yeah, not last year. Yeah. He's a bit older too now.
Yeah. McNulty, I mean, it would be weird, but I suppose they may be saying let him do the Volta and go all in and maybe be one of their leaders. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's too good of a rider to not be doing at least one, but you'd think two Grand Tours.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of talent on that team, so.
Yeah. George Bennett, who we haven't heard much from, is on Israel Premier Tech. He'll be there, and he's a New Zealander, but racing there too. And Simon Clark, Simon Clark's still racing, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Derek Gee, one of the breakout stars from last year, he'll be there.
Canadian.
Yeah. So Filippo Ganna is supposed to be there. Is there a time trial in the Tour Down Under? Probably, right? So that'll be a chance for him to win, maybe.
He's gotten to be a kind of guy that likes to break away towards the end of races and use his pursuit skills, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Viviani's also racing for them, and Leo Hayter, too. So Joshua Tarling is racing for them, too. That's it's gonna be.
If they had a team time trial, I think they would win by a lot.
Yeah, I think though too. In some ways, I mean, it's a long trip over there. I was just talking to somebody who was going, I think, to Australia, and I said, well, how long? Oh no, they're going to Thailand. They're going to Thailand. So a little bit in the same general area. And they said they were lamenting how long of a trip it was. It was such a long trip. And I said, well, how long are you going to be there? And they said, a month. Like, well, certainly, Yeah. Sometimes the camp I'm holding in San Luis Obispo is an 8-day camp, and since it's in San Luis Obispo, we fly into LA and then have to get to San Luis. It's a bit of a day, a whole day travel kind of. But 8 days of riding in Central Coast of California, it makes it worth it. So if you're traveling all the way to Australia and you get to spend a week, but if you get to spend 2 or 3 weeks there, then it's certainly worth it. Better, and like you were saying, Mathieu Jorgensen's going to get the benefit now of having, some of those Middle Eastern races and racing in warm weather. But anybody who wants to go to Tour Down Under, it's not a bad place to be this time of year.
No, but you had to start your training a little earlier and be maybe more fit earlier in the year than you might want to be. You didn't get as much of a break in the off season, so.
Or just hurt yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, your son Taylor's putting in so many miles. He ran 121 miles yesterday, I think it was, that even Robin Carpenter asked him, "Hey, what are you training for, dude?" But he's doing a ton of miles because the season here starts relatively early too, and so you do need to be something fit. I know. And one thing we should talk about too, just briefly, is the esports championship for U.S. cycling is this Saturday. So the first Saturday. First national championship. Yeah, that's a little earlier, I think, in the past. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any indoor riding this year due to issue in my indoor studio I can use right now, so I'm not doing anything. I am doing a lifting, but I've not been doing much of a running. So I did a really hard steep climb the other day. It's only like a 13-minute climb, 13 minutes for me right now. And holy cow, it hurt and I was kind of slow. And I thought, wow, I'm almost kind of glad I'm not doing the esports nationals this weekend because those races are, it's like doing a time trial, start to finish, they're all out and not having done any. You have to do one race to qualify. So I couldn't even do it if I wanted to now. But yeah, that's the first one. But yeah, it really shows, like you said, the fitness. So people who are training all winter long and really fit, season, it helps them in Tour Down Under or helps them at the esports national championships, which are held in what would be normally the off season. But for the esports, this is their season too. This is when yeah. So it's a big deal for some people. But not everybody. It's just like too for these races too. But even the people who aren't doing Tour Down Under, if they're doing any races early on, there'll be a lot more races in February and then a ton in March. You need to be putting in. I mean, you need to be well into your training program already to be that kind of racing.
Yeah, well, the Tour of San Juan will come up pretty soon, late January. Mark Cavendish is going to be there, right? That's Donna.
Yeah, I think I see so many articles. I haven't read very many of them, but so many articles about how his lead out train is way better this year. They're dialed in. They added a couple of guys, so they're very focused. Last year, apparently, they thought guy maybe be enough to be able to qualify for the Tour, and that's all they needed. This year, they said, you know what, we're going to really fortify this and we're going to make sure we get it because they got Cavendish to come back for one more year. It's unlikely he'll come back for another year, even though this year in the Tour, there's not as many sprint opportunities, it looks like. But they're going to go completely all in. I think Case Bowles was the only guy, right, that they had last year for his lead out kind of. So this year, it's going to be a much different story. And so, yeah, we'll see. But you're right. The Tour of San Juan, he traditionally, back in the day, used to do really well in those races like that. So if the train is coming together like everybody says it is, maybe he'll show it off early.
Right. That's something I look forward to, definitely, too. Well, I've got my flight coming up pretty soon. We talked about cyclocross. We talked about the road season that's coming up close. The jerseys were just shown recently, the women's kits and the men's kits that come out, how much different they are. And they got a little bit yellow in the Bora-Hansgrohe. I guess maybe we mentioned something about that the Red Bull is about a stake in
51% stake, so controlling.
So that's pretty interesting there.
And then also, EF has a bit of yellow in their kit this year.
They have a little bit of yellow.
And
Visma bike's still all yellow.
Did you see that? This is the title for the article I just saw today was New EF Pro Cycling Kits Add Bright Yellow, Return to White Socks, quote, by popular demand. It's such a big issue for people. So most of the people in the picture here are white shoes, white socks. So I had white shoes for a while, and back then it was white shoes, black socks, and then I switched to black shoes when everybody else switched to white shoes. And I oftentimes do black socks, black shoes, or my worn cycling socks are blue. But yeah, the thing was then, I think white socks, white shoes, black socks last year, but now EF's trying to make it white socks. It's funny.
I guess I haven't paid that much attention.
I know, but yeah, hey, it's a lead story right now though on cycling news. So yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. What people pay attention to, right?
Yeah, well, Decathlon, Argy du Jour, Le Mondial, they're a little bit different. They don't have brown anymore, right? No more brown shorts.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Did you pull up the birthday list? I didn't look at the birthday list. Who's born on the 4th of January?
No.
2024.
I had to load Pro Cycling Stats onto my.
Oh, can you see? Because your eyes are still. Yeah, that's right. I haven't even looked at anything Pro Cycling Stats, lady.
Well, I had to pull up that site on my Chrome browser because my Windows browser. I can see it though. I can see my eyes. Oh my gosh, it's a popular name on top. There's the controversy over David Millar.
Excuse me. All right. Happy birthday, David Millar.
47 years old. Yeah, and then actually second place too, Danilo Hondo. So he
Oh
was a
yeah, 50.
really good sprinter. And then third place, same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Popovich, yeah. So top three guys, all I'm sure they're
Excuse
super
me.
talented racers who had stellar careers, who also made some poor choices. But
All right.
yeah,
Well,
but Miller though, he
good
was
for
like,
that
I,
era.
oh yeah, let me tell you this little story about him. I remember hearing that he didn't hardly train. He's so really naturally talented, and he was on, oh shoot, I think Sonia Duvall or something like that. But in the Tour de France, he was sixth or fourth or something like that in the prologue one time, and all he did was ride his bike. He didn't not specific training, and he's like, oh my gosh, I might be good at this. Maybe I should train. And so that was like a revelation for him. Like, hey, I actually could be really good. But he was already phenomenally good. I mean, he must be so naturally talented that you could just by riding your bike be that good. And then he started training specifically, and then I think he did end up winning the winning the prologue eventually. But yeah, but he actually won 4 stages of the Tour de France eventually, and 5 of the Volta Esplanade stages too, and 2 times second in the World Championships in the individual time trial.
Wow. You see, it's Will Barta's birthday. Will's 28. So he's still with Movistar. So Mathieu Jorgensen moved on, but Will Barta's still going to be racing for Movistar.
Yeah, and it's his chance now to draw attention to the American. Because I mean, I think Mathieu Jorgensen got a lot of the attention, right from the American being on Movistar. But now it's his turn to shine, maybe.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah. He signed through 2025, so he's got a couple more years with Movistar.
Yeah. Last year he was second at the U.S. National Individual Time Trial.
Yeah. All right. Matt Stevens, 54. That's not the Matt Stevens that does the videos, and there must be several Matt Stevens.
How old is he?
54. 54.
Matt Stevens.
Maybe he doesn't spell the name differently. I don't know.
Matt Stevens on yeah.
Yeah, he's been. I've seen him do some.
It might be. It looks like he was a racer, and I think he was a national champion at one point in Great Britain, and there he is. Yep, national champion of Great Britain in '98. That is him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, he does some good journalistic work now. I think he'll get some pretty exclusive interviews that you can watch, like Teddy Pocaccia or Mathieu van der Poel.
If you have a subscription service that shows him on there anymore, so
yeah.
That's one of the big draws of some of the broadcasts. So they're saying they have the GCN, the sport announcers. So if you get that, but he actually came to the Tour of Elk Grove in 2011. All right, that's one of his in his last year racing. That's the only race he has on is 2011 as a UCI race, which is funny too because it was a UCI race and it was a dead flat 4-stage race. But it was fun. I did the Elk Grove race, not the pro stage race, but the amateur version one year. And it was fun because it was a ton of money. And Chris Horner would always come because he's a friend of somebody at Chicago Special Events Management. And so he would, yeah. But anyway, so Matt Stevens was there. Yep.
All right.
He was racing first.
So Thomas Turner, 42. Happy birthday, Thomas Turner, American. Also Justin Griffin. So he's 28. Marty Shea, 61. Marty Shea.
Hey,
that's American celebrating the birthday that made it to the Pro Cycling Stats points list to get on their list for birthday celebrating the 4th of January. So, it's hopefully it won't be too long when we get back together, and you'll be back right away from that conference, right? It's just a short couple of days.
Just this weekend. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So.
And how long till your first camp? When do you get?
March. So yeah, that's where
you got some time.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do a pre-camp my trip in gravel. I'm switching locations again. I'm trying to find the best place. So my camp in March is in San Luis Obispo, and I do that every other year. And then the other all the training years I do here in Asheville. So those are dialed in, same places. They're amazing routes I'm familiar with. It's really good. And then the Vision Quest camp I do in the Blue Ridge Parkway up here, in some of the roads in Asheville. So it's very well dialed in, very familiar with all those. My gravel camp, though, done it 2 years in central Tennessee, mid Tennessee, and I'm pretty happy with it, but I think I can do better. So this year I'm moving it up to southern Indiana, near Dale, Indiana, which is near Santa Claus. And it's looks like amazing gravel roads there, but I'll do a preview trip at the beginning of March for that, and then look forward to riding out. They're dialed in. But I'm hoping that can be a place I can settle on to repeat that camp a couple years in a row. And it's close to St. Louis, it's close to Louisville, it's relatively close to Chicago, and so I think it's limited to 10 or 11 people. So it's not a real big camp, but a little bit bigger than I think I had 8 people last year. It's my max for the camp. Yeah. So I've got a little bit of time. So I'll be home the entire after this January and all February.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll catch up with you.
You'll be home like
I won't be home. We'll squeeze it in here and there, and look forward to talking to you again soon about all that's going on with cycling, and yeah, excited for 2024. See what happens. That should be another big year.
Yeah, definitely. All right, dude. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye.